So I'll start just by introducing myself. My name is Kate Pilotte, and I work for the FIRST, specifically for the FIRST Robotics Competition Program, and my title is the Senior Kit of Parts Manager. So I work with the kit of parts engineer, and the two of us are responsible for getting the kits built out the door, first choice, the virtual kit, kind of all that coordinated and shipped to teams. And then, but in addition to that, we also do game design and web page development and other things as needed, especially kind of as we change the game with COVID coming on board and trying to figure out how to navigate that. So I started at FIRST in 2006. So I've been there for quite a while. And one of my favorite parts about my job is that it gets me to places like Mexico City, Torreon. And so I've worked a few events in Mexico, which have been really wonderful, and I'm happy to be back, even if it's virtually. So thank you for having me. So my plan for what I was going to talk about today is to talk through kind of what events will or won't look like this year, talk about the kit of parts, talk about the different challenges that we'll be releasing at kickoff, and then talking about the awards and kind of how we're going to celebrate teams and their accomplishments this year. So the first one is kind of the bitter news that I think all of you are probably aware of. So we're probably not going to have events this year. There was an announcement this fall that, given the way things were going with COVID, that we just didn't think it was going to be safe. However, FIRST leadership, so our board of directors and the president and his team, they have promised to revisit that decision this month. And so depending on that, they'll revisit that decision and maybe they will save their events. I just don't think that's probable. My own personal crystal ball, if you will, my own prediction is that the world is not where we need to be in order to have globally say we're going to have events again. And so I think it's pretty unlikely, which is, I think, probably a fair decision, considering we don't want to get people sick or worse. And then the inevitable next question is, well, if we don't have events, would there be a championship? And quizás, no sé. I think that is probably also not realistic, but maybe. I don't know that they're going to make that decision then in January. That might be postponed a little bit. But if it does happen, then Houston will be in mid-July and Detroit will be in early August. The exact dates aren't known yet. But again, I do think it's unlikely. So the next topic I was going to touch on, which is near and dear to my heart, of course, is the kit of parts. So generally, you might be used to, for those veteran teams anyway, you're used to getting, a heavy tote of stuff at kickoff. And then you can go on and supplement that kickoff kit. We call that the kickoff kit. You can supplement that with additional items from first choice. And then there's the virtual kit, which is either software downloads or vouchers that donors have provided for teams to use. But this year, because of COVID, I feel like I'm going to say that a lot. But this year, in 2021, the kit of parts looks pretty different. It's the same structure, but it's going to look pretty different. And so the kickoff kit is much smaller than what you're used to getting. And that's for a couple different reasons. One reason is because we just don't see a lot of teams building new robots this year. A lot of veteran teams have their 2020 robot. It may or may not be available to them depending on what kind of safety protocols are in place in their area. But if it's not available, they're definitely probably not building robots as a team. And so what we've done is transitioned a lot of the inventory that we were able to get donated to first choice so that teams can better pick and choose what they need as a team. Team needs are different depending on how much money a team might have or where they are or what teams they might have in their area that they can share material with. What kind of things are they trying to take on that season? So really the inability to predict what a team might need kind of was another reason for us shifting a lot of the inventory to first choice. And another reason is just the bare basics of a nonprofit asking for donations in this time. Some suppliers just weren't able to meet our needs. Understandable. We hope that this is just a blip and they'll be back. But it was a tough year. And then the virtual kit has grown a little bit. So hopefully you've noticed that the virtual kit was released back in November. And so if you go onto the Kit of Parts page, you can see all the different items that are available in the kit, in the virtual kit. Like I said, whether it's CAD software downloads or data analysis software, a variety of different software resources that you can download. And then there's also a whole list of vouchers that companies donate. So you'll see Rev Robotics on there. You'll see Innovation First on there. So make sure you go and take a look at that list and don't leave any of it on the table. It's all free. I know that teams in Mexico and Turkey and other non-US based teams do face additional challenges with shipping charges and customs and duties and taxes. And I'm sorry for that. And I don't know how to solve that problem. But I do know that I do want to acknowledge that you guys have an extra challenge or hurdle when trying to use these items. But I do want to stress that the virtual kit, it's no additional registration fee. There's no additional charges from FIRST in order to get those parts and to use those vouchers. So, you know, if you can get creative on how to get them to you, then have at it. So that's the Kit of Parts this year is slightly different. One thing I did want to point out is that First Choice opens for round one. We only have one round this year. So the one and only round will open on kickoff day, so this Saturday. And the deadline for your priority list to be complete is January 21st. And so that's when the lists will be locked. If anybody is on this call and their team hasn't secured payment yet, that's okay. If you can still participate in creating a First Choice priority list. However, if you're not secured by that January 21st deadline, then we'll exclude your list from kind of assigning parts. But if you think you're going to be secured by January 21st, don't let that hold you up from going in and making your priority list once kickoff happens. Because as long as we have your payment by then, your list is good to go. So hopefully that makes sense. So there are 3 challenges that we worked on for teams this year because we know we can't host these events in person. I do want to say that if we do end up hosting events in person, all of these challenges that I'm about to talk about will still be in play, and there'll still be an option for teams to participate in and compete in. And I do think that if there are in-person events, we'll be charging an extra fee for teams who want to compete in person. But like I said, I think that's unlikely. So the first, and let me say also kind of generally, the staff at FIRST, when we worked on developing these challenges for teams, we really, really, really wanted to make sure that a team could compete even if they couldn't get together. And so there's only one part of one challenge that you actually have to touch your robot and be with your robot. It doesn't require a lot of people in one place. But for the most part, these challenges you can do them if all you have is a Zoom connection or, you know, Ring Central, whatever you happen to use, Google Meet, that really they just require you to bring your brain and maybe some internet research and some other things to the table. But we really tried hard not to make it so that if a team could meet in person, they had some sort of extreme advantage over other teams. You could do all of these challenges except for the skills challenge if you never actually meet in person and everything is done remotely. So hopefully that's true, but that was kind of in the back of our head the whole time because different teams are under different circumstances and we wanted to make sure we were inclusive of everybody and that everybody could be, you know, reasonably competitive. So the first challenge is the game design challenge. It's true, you're probably not going to play Infinite Recharge this year. You're probably not going to play the game. And so the thought was, let's invite teams to make their own. Honestly, personally, this is the hardest part of my job and the most fun part of my job. Creating a game and kind of navigating all the different trade-offs that need to be made is complicated and fun and challenging, and it's always kind of this new inventive thing. So this challenge is pretty exciting because it's fun to think about teams getting the same experience that we do at FIRST when we invent a game, which is to, you know, argue about well, why should it be that many points? And why shouldn't that robot be able to be in that part of the field? And kind of having those debates is fun. So I hope teams take this on, and I hope they have as much fun as much fun with it as I do. But it is hard, and there's a lot of analysis and debate that goes into it. So fair warning, I guess. Because it's new to teams, because we've always asked teams to build robots to play a game, we've never actually asked teams to build the game itself. We will be releasing a whole bunch of different resources for teams to use. And none of it, I will say, none of it is really rocket science, but I hope that it'll be helpful for teams to kind of understand, what do we go through and what kind of processes and tools do we use in trying to develop our games that might be helpful or insightful. Or maybe you just learn from it and say, we don't really want to do it that way, but it might inform, future decisions. So, so be on the lookout for those resources, and I hope they're helpful. So the process for this challenge is that each team is going to submit a game. Each team that opts to do it submits a game. The judges will evaluate that game, and then the judges will invite each team to do an interview with them. I forget the total time of the interview, but it's on the order of like 7 minutes for a presentation, and then 3 minutes for questions, or 3 to 5 minutes for questions. I forget the exact numbers, and I should have done that, sorry. But it's along those lines. So each team that submits a game concept will get an interview with judges. They can present the concept, talk about anything that they might have evolved since they submitted the concept, talk about some of the favorite parts of their game and why, and really kind of add that layer of depth and understanding for the judges. And then those judges will grant awards, and my next slide covers the awards available, but there are 2 awards, the Designer's Award and the Concept Award. And the game concepts that win those 2 awards will get kind of forwarded to the FRC game designers, and we'll take a look at all those award winners. The top 20 concepts from that pool we'll get interviews with FRC game designers. So me and my colleagues will talk to all the teams that designed those top 20 concepts. And then from there, we'll select up to 3 to be the winners. And the winning concepts, those 3, will be included in our pool of games that we look to see if we want to develop, or if we want to use elements from games in future games. And so that's kind of exciting to think that we could be using either a complete game or parts of game that were developed by a team. And I think that's really exciting to me. So the awards that I talked about, so I mentioned the Designer's Award and the Concept Award. Those 2 awards kind of provide that advancement to the next level. But there are other awards and ways that we want to celebrate other aspects of the game design elements. So the Imagery Award is being applied to this challenge, the Creativity Award, the Engineering Design Award, and the Rookie Design Award. Those are all additional ways we want to celebrate the teams that submit these concepts. So, and these are online. I took these from the PDF, Ricardo, that I think you sent me, that we published back in the fall. So if you want to dive into any of these details, that's all available on our website. So the next challenge is Infinite Recharge at Home. And there are 2 parts to this one. So the first one is the skills challenge, which is only if it's safe to do, of course. We want you to show off, we wanted to have an opportunity for teams to show off their 2020 robots. So I think at the end of the season, by the time we suspended the season week 3, or I guess right at the start of week 3, I was in St. Louis at the St. Louis Regional, and we had just opened the doors in the morning on Thursday for teams to come in, and we got the news that the season had been suspended. So it was, I think technically we got to week 3, but we didn't get more than that. But as of that time, I think our statistics show that only half the teams got to play Wheels on Carpet, we've been saying. So, which means half the teams didn't ever get to show off their robots. So the skills challenge is an opportunity for teams who can access their robots to show off some of the skills. And so think like an obstacle course, and the details will be released at kickoff, but the idea is teams record how well their robot did at these different challenges, then go into a portal and submit their scores, and they're going to be competing against other teams in their group. So, so really kind of hands-on, nitty-gritty, driving a robot. This piece is the most like being in an in-person event that you'll get this season. And so I think that's probably pretty exciting, particularly for those teams that weren't able to get to an event last season, or in 2020 anyway. So a couple of the awards have been reassigned to apply directly to this challenge. So there is an autonomous piece. Hopefully the programmers are all excited to hear about that. There's an Excellence in Engineering Award, the Rookie Game Changer Award, the Industrial Design Award, and the Quality Award, which for veteran teams who've been around the block a few times, it probably makes sense that these would be the awards that get celebrated through the Skills Challenge. One of the things I do want to highlight is that you do not have to do the Skills Challenge in order to be eligible for the awards. You don't have to have access to your robot in order to be eligible for the awards. So if you have sketches of your robot or video of your robot from last year, or because maybe your school is closed and you can't access your actual robot to submit for these awards, but you have some of the material around it, or you can recreate it, whether you're doing some CAD design, you have some CAD models that you can update. All of that material is perfectly reasonable to use in submitting for some of these technical awards. They're really intended to be able to be inclusive of teams who can't actually be with their robot. So again, you don't need to do the Skills Challenge, and you don't need to have your robot in order to submit for these awards, if that makes sense. So the third challenge is the Innovation Challenge, which is presented by Qualcomm, sponsored by Qualcomm. And this is an opportunity to just get real about everything. And so the idea is for a team who is really inspired by this challenge to identify a problem in the real world and figure out a way to solve it. And so what that means is designing the solution, building that business model, and then delivering the pitch to the judges. The top concepts from that will go on to the Global Innovation Awards, which is in a typical year, it's an in-person conference that lasts 3 or 4 days. Probably this year it'll be an online conference like everything else. But top concepts will advance to those Global Innovation Awards and have additional opportunities for development, skills development, and sharing those ideas. And it's just a big festival of smarts, I guess I'll say. And so that's pretty exciting. And then the other kind of noteworthy piece of the Innovation Challenge is that it's cross-program. So it's available to FIRST Robotics competition teams and FIRST Tech Challenge teams. And so by bringing those two communities together to tackle some of these real-world challenges is really exciting. And I know that I'm dating myself, but that's kind of how I think about it. The Optimus Prime of the challenges is bringing those two programs together. So hopefully I'm not dating myself too much, but that's just the concept that came to my head as I was preparing these slides. So in addition to the awards that we already talked about, we still are definitely making available some traditionally submitted awards. But before I talk about those, I had mentioned groups a couple times when I was talking about awards for the challenges. So the way that awards for the challenges or the way that groups for the challenges are going to be done is it's about 30 teams per group, 25 to 35 is our range. And the groups are different for each challenge, and there's no geographic tie to the group. So it's basically going to be like how many teams are submitted for the game design challenge, divide them up by 25 to 35, and then those are the groups. But we're not tying, North American teams are going to be together or European teams sort of be. It's going to be a mix of teams, which is pretty exciting. We haven't had that kind of mix in a while, so pretty excited about that. So it's going to be. I don't know that it's going to be completely random. I think it's going to be as random as we can get it in terms of which teams are assigned. But we'll be releasing detail on that process come kickoff. And so if two teams are together in one group for the game design challenge and those same two teams submit for the skills challenge, for example, they might be in different groups in the skills challenge, but the same group for the game design challenge. So just know that the groups aren't the same across all three challenges. So, and then we, of course, have the traditionally submitted awards, the big three being the Chairman's Award, the Woody Flowers Finalist Award, and the Dean's List Award. And those groups are geographic. And so the Mexican teams are all going to be assigned to the Mexico region. The Turkish teams are all going to be assigned to the Turkish region. And if you care, I just put those in there because I think that's who the audience is today. But if you're interested to see the other regions, that was in a recent blog in the FRC blog. But so traditionally submitted awards are geographic, challenges are not geographic, if that makes sense. And then that was all I had. So I have some time for questions. If there are any questions, happy to open it up.
Of course, if you consider it, I might get into the Q&A section and I'll start just telling you the questions attendees are sending us.
Mm-hmm.
So the first one, we already have one from an anonymous attendee. How are 2020 rookie teams considered for the awards?
Good question. I am almost positive that they are considered rookie teams for awards. So like for registration and payment, I think you paid the lower registration fee and aren't getting the rookie kit. But for awards, you're eligible. If you are a rookie in 2020, you're eligible for the rookie awards in 2021.
Okay. Well, the next question is, so from what I understood, on the moment of the challenge, we the team have to create our own field to practice.
Say that again.
So the question says, so on the moment of doing the challenge, we have to make or create our own field, our own game field.
For the skills challenge?
Yeah.
I think that probably means, do you have to make your own field to do the skills challenge? The answer is no. So the skills challenge requires that you have space for your robot to drive around in. And we have about 500 by 900 centimeters of area, and then 300 centimeters of height for shooting is kind of the number that we put in our documentation. But you don't need practice field elements. You don't need carpet even. You just need a flat space for your robot to move around and shoot power cells. So you do need 3 power cells. You got 3 in last year's kit. No, you got 1 in last year's kit, but I think you get 3 in this year's kickoff kit. So if you haven't received your kickoff kit yet, you will, and there will be 3 power cells in there. And that's part of the shooting challenge, which I don't think we've officially said that's a thing, but it's pretty, I don't think I'm revealing any big secret by saying that shooting is part of the challenge. When we say that you need, height for shooting, I think that's probably fair to assume that you'll be shooting for the challenge. So nope, you don't need to build anything. You don't need to create any field, just space.
Okay. Well, and even if you revealed any kind of little secret, it wouldn't matter. We could keep on writing the people in here in the conference. We could keep it on ourselves, so there wouldn't be any problem. But well, in reality, we really appreciate, and sometimes we don't get to see, Kate, all the effort that is behind creating an FRC challenge. So before anything else, may I thank you on behalf of the whole crew and maybe the whole teams here for all the good job and the great stuff you're doing in HQ and all the FRC staff. You're amazing. We're really grateful, and we're really fortunate to have you with us organizing all this. So,
that's very kind, and I am excited to share that with my colleagues. I know they'll appreciate it.
Of course. So we get another question from Antonio Rafael Cedillo. Does the Innovation Award involves only social outreach or all of the team areas? For example, engineering, business, etc.
We haven't released the details of the Innovation Challenge yet. That'll be released at kickoff, and you'll get a lot more information about what are they looking for and some maybe better defined scope around what that challenge is and what it includes. So I don't think I can answer that to the extent you probably want me to yet. But the core meat of it is identifying a problem and solving it. And maybe that problem is around outreach. Maybe that problem is around, so I guess I don't want to say too much, but I guess you'll find out more at kickoff. I'm sorry.
We cannot wait for the kickoff. We want to know everything now, but so we got another question from another anonymous attendee. So will there be much of a difference from 2020's challenge to this 2021 challenge?
will there be much of a difference in the skills challenge between what robots have to do? Is that?
Well, I think that's what the question meant. Yeah.
The skills challenge with the tasks needed in the skills challenge were modeled after the 2020 game. So, and it was really important in that, in the mindset as those were being developed, was that if a team can access their robot and they built the robot to play Infinite Recharge in 2020, they don't have to redo any part of the robot to then do the skills challenges. So for example, you won't see anything that's like, pick up this Steamworks gear and go put it on a peg. It was really modeled after the 2020 game. That being said, it was also really important that teams didn't need to go all out on the field in order to recreate anything that might be too much for teams with lower resources, or didn't have a lot of time together, or didn't have a giant space to work in, like the size of a field. So a couple different things went into it, but kind of, I think I can generally say it was modeled after a 2020 game,
Okay.
but it's not identical to it, if that makes sense.
Okay, cool. So, well, here's an interesting question for all of us who are sometimes related or involved in volunteering. Do you have any update for volunteering 2021?
I don't. I know that we'll be recruiting judges, and that may have started already, because we don't really know how many judges we're going to need, because we don't know how many teams are going to submit for these different challenges. I think right now we have just slightly more than 2,900 teams registered and paid. And so if all of those teams do all 3 challenges, that's a different need on our volunteers than if each team picks one challenge to do. And so we're not quite sure yet, but one of the really wonderful things about the FIRST community is that we just have volunteers chomping at the bit to help. And so once we have a better idea of what's needed, we'll be engaging with volunteers. And I think that there won't be enough volunteer slots for everybody, because if we don't have events, that's just a giant workforce that isn't employed. But we hope to stay engaged with our volunteer community, and we hope to stay engaged with them, because we certainly don't want to have a gap here in our relationship with our volunteer community.
Okay. Well, so there's also another question about the autonomous. Oh, I don't know if you got that one.
Sorry, could you repeat it?
So yes, of course. So will there be a specific interview with judges for the autonomous award?
I don't know the answer to that. I'm sorry.
Okay, no problem. So we get another question from Roberto Gallegos from Team Techno Raven 7669. It says, "Good morning, Kate. Thank you for sharing such valuable information about the 2021 season." And the question is, how is the kit of parts shipping being handled for Mexican teams? Will they be sent individually to each team or in a group in coordination with FIRST Mexico? Thanks.
There's definitely coordination with FIRST Mexico. So we group shipped those kits, or are group shipping those kits. I'm not quite sure if they've left our warehouse yet. I think they were shipping this week. But they're in a group to Mexico, and then they'll be distributed from within Mexico to each team. And sorry to put her on the spot. I don't know that she's on the call, but I bet Barbara could probably answer more specifics about how they're getting to individual teams within Mexico.
Well, I think she'll be here, but maybe on this specific moment she isn't. But we'll make sure that she gets this question and may get a more specific answer to the one who made the question from Team 7669.
Thank you.
We'll make sure of that. So the next question is, from the total 20 finalists, how much will be for the designer award, and how many will be for the designer award, and how many for the concept award?
There's one award, there's one of each award per group. So for
Okay.
that group of 25 to 35 teams, there will be one concept and one designer's award, and those two ideas go on to the next level.
Okay. Well, next question from Gibran. So, in the case of a championship, which awards qualify for championship this season?
I don't think we've announced that yet.
Okay. Well, I think for now we're done. I don't know if you got more of the slides, or maybe we can proceed. We can go to another part of the presentation that we have prepared.
I think I'm all set.
Okay, so, well, I think we got more questions. Some of our attendees are getting more doubts about the autonomous award. So they want to know specifically, or maybe the most details we can give in this moment, how is the autonomous award supposed to be won without the necessity of looking at the robot directly by the judges?
Oh, got it. Okay. So I think with that, details will be released at kickoff, but generally expect to submit for the award with information about how your robot performs autonomously. So if you have footage from a match last season, or footage from a practice in your own space, or you can run a simulation, I think judges are really looking for kind of what are you thinking about and how are you implementing either sensors or programming loops, whatever, how are you thinking about autonomy and how are you implementing autonomy? And I think, I suspect that they're going to be pretty inclusive of different ways to share that information. And so if it's not, it's not going to be, they're not going to be watching your robot in a match, obviously. And so other ways to communicate your robot's ability to perform autonomously, I think it's open season, but definitely the disclaimer of pay attention at kickoff and tune in then to find out more.
Okay, so, well, we got another question, but before that question, we got something else for you to see. We got a special message also right away from HQ, and we'd like all of you to see it. So, well, technical crew, please go ahead with the message, the video message. Oh, they must be working on it.
FRC Warm-Up 2021. My name is Frank Merrick. I'm the director of FIRST Robotics Competition. We have got a great season coming up for you. Whether or not we're going to be able to have in-person events, it's still going to be a great season. We've got 3 major challenges for you this year. And for the most part, they can be done completely remotely, which means that you don't have to meet as a team to actually get through these challenges. First up, we've got the First Innovation Challenge presented by Qualcomm. You get to ID a real problem, develop a solution, create a business model, and present it to judges. It's very open-ended, and you're going to have a lot of fun with that one. Next up, we have Infinite Recharge at Home. This one has 2 parts. First part, you're going to be able to present your robot to a panel of judges remotely. And you don't even need your robot or access to your robot to do that. Drawings and photos work just as well. The second part is the Skills Challenge. If you can safely access your robot, you can put it through its paces, upload your results, and compare them with teams from all over the world. Finally is the Game Design Challenge. In this one, you get to design your own FRC game. And if it's picked as the overall winner, there's a chance that you're going to see it as the FRC game some years in the future. All this is going on, plus submitted awards like Chairman's Award, Dean's List, and the Woody Flowers Finalist Award. So we may not be having in-person competitions, but we've still got so much fun and excitement going on. Check the FRC blog titled Detailed Information about the 2021 season for more information. I hope you're having fun, have a great season, and I hope to be seeing all of you in person really soon.
Well, so you'll get it. That was Mr. Frank America, FRC director, who, mostly told us what you just already told us in the presentation, Kate. But anyway, what was I telling you before? It's just amazing how there's a lot of people behind all what we think. We take it for granted every year in the FRC competition, in the regional events, in the championships. But this last 2020 season showed us really what's behind the creation, the organization, the execution of a regional event, even for the shipping of the kit of parts every kickoff. There's a lot of stuff going on behind. So we need to be grateful at the end, and we need to be ready for this new 2021 season. And so are all the teams from Mexico and all the Turkish teams that are in here today. And we're all grateful to have you here. We got a bunch of more more questions for you. So about the Chairman's Award, there's going to be, of course, a specific panel and a panel for the Chairman's Award, but they are asking if we can expect any changes on the normal process we were accustomed in past seasons.
I know that we blogged recently about, I think, some of the submissions and the process there. I'll find that and put that link in the chat. But I don't know of any dramatic changes, but I'll see if I can track that information down and post it. I don't work on the awards parts, so I'm afraid I'm just not as knowledgeable there.
No problem. We appreciate your effort. So, well, we get an interesting question here. Is there going to be more surprises we're not expecting at the kickoff?
Well, I don't know what you're expecting, so I can't speak to that side of the question, but yes, there will be new information released at kickoff.
Okay. And we got an anonymous question. Is there only one Woody Flowers finalist award per region, and are there several Dean's and Chairman's Awards?
I believe yes to the Woody Flowers Award question, and I think that the Dean's List and Chairman's Award, that'll be released at kickoff. That information will be released at kickoff.
Yeah. So just as we were telling you, everybody, Kate is not specifically in the awards part of the FRC.
Nope.
Sorry.
We already released that information. So that was in a blog December 21st, and I'm going to put the link to that blog in the chat. And you'll see the number of Chairman's Awards, Dean's List. For Mexico, by the way, it's 3 Chairman's Award and 6 Dean's List finalists for that region. And I'm pretty sure for Woody Flowers, it's 1.
There we have it. One of our mentors just already posted that blog from December 21st with all that information. Yeah.
Got it. Yeah.
So that's basically the move. Just more information being released every specific period of time. So maybe what changes this season is that what we just suffered in 2020 makes us be like expecting what it could be different in 2021. But we know you are all been working so hard to get this season going. We know it's going to be fantastic, and we're rooting for the best. We've been working also this 2020 session, and we'll do our best.
Yeah, I think we're all, I saw a question earlier, and it was, what do we expect for 2021? And I don't know what to expect. I very much expect that we're going to learn a lot at first about what it means to challenge teams remotely. I think I hope we're going to get a lot right, but I'm pretty sure we're probably going to get some stuff wrong and need to learn from that. So I just hope that we challenge our teams in a fun and really, frankly, difficult way, but in a way that it's not frustrating difficult, that it's challenging and fun and engaging inspiring difficult. So that's really kind of what we're going for, and hopefully we pull that off. So I'm excited about the enthusiasm that we've seen so far. I'm really excited to see what teams come up with. That I really expect some amazing thought and presentations when it comes to the innovation challenge and the game design challenge. And I'm really excited to see what some of those robots we weren't able to see on the carpet. I'm excited to see what they can do. I'm excited to see, I'm excited to see all of it. So I just love the opportunity to kind of showcase what teams are thinking and doing. And I think that we're doing that effectively this season. So hopefully we're right.
I know you've had the opportunity to meet some Mexican teams and you're aware of the situation of FRC in Mexico, but I can tell you one thing is sure. We Mexican teams haven't stopped working in 2020. We've continued doing a great job. We've continued doing excellent activities and initiatives to promote the first values even within a pandemic. So now being back into track with competition, even in a remote platform, it makes us just happy. So Kate, it's been a pleasure to have you here with us. We hope the best for this season, and we hope to see you maybe in some of the virtual events or even in the championship in a few months. Whether if it's live or if it's remote, we'll be there. Be sure we'll be there as teams.
Muchísimas gracias.
It's been an honor, and we'll have you here. We expect to have you here soon more times. This won't be the last one. So thank you very much. Have a nice day.
You too.